Last but not least, we have secant. Secant is the reciprocal of cosine. So wherever the cosine is 0, the secant is not going to exist. So the cosine of 90 degrees or the cosine of pi halves is 0, so therefore the secant of pi halves or 90 degrees does not exist. So there are again going to be your asymptotes. Just like the sine and cosecant graphs, the cosine and secant graphs have the same situation where the secant does not exist between -1 and 1. So it's going to be a shift, just like the cosine is a shift of the graph of the sine function. The secant is going to be a shift of the cosecant graph. We still have no x-intercepts. Now, this one is going to have a y-intercept because the graph is going to shift. So cosecant, no y-intercept. Secant, we are going to have a y-intercept for the parent function. All of our asymptotes are going to be at pi halves, and then again, they're going to differentiate by pi. It's an even function because it's symmetrical about the y-axis. We again, just like the cosecant graph, we have relative mins and maxes. End behavior again does not exist because it's going to infinity and negative infinity. Oscillating between negative infinity and infinity. We have a period of 2 pi, just like cosine. And we have the same old A, B, C, and D. So if A is 1, we have a vertical stretch. That's going to move those points from 1 up and -1 down to whatever that value is. If A is between 0 and 1, we're going to have a vertical shrink. And then if A is negative, it's going to reflect about the x-axis. Same as with cosecant, sine and cosine. It's 2 pi divided by B to get your period. If B is greater than 1, we have horizontal shrink. If B is between 0 and 1, we have a horizontal stretch. So to get our asymptotes, we're going to start out the exact same way as we have been. We're going to take bx plus c is equal to a negative pi halves, and bx plus c is equal to 3 pi halves. Those are going to be our starting points. Those are going to be our beginning and end of our period. Now, just like cosecant, there is an asymptote halfway in between those two, okay? Because this is the beginning of the period and this is the end of the period. And then, of course, we have D, which is our vertical shift. So it'll shift the graph up and down.